Some technical problem. The slides are not moving. Okay. So these are different pictures of the babies showing cleft palate. Okay. So you might have seen such type of babies around you somewhere sometime. So why this happens? This happens because total face is developing because of fusion of some processes. If this fusion fails, then you get different types of clefts, facial clefts. Okay. So for that matter, you should know how the face is formed. So if you remember, the face development occurs in 4th to 8th week of intrauterine life, and it is induced by migration of neural crest cells from midbrain and hindbrain. They are called as rhombomeres. They are present in segments that we have already seen in the molecular regulation of arches, pharyngeal apparatus. So neural crest cells, they migrate from hindbrain into the hindbrain and midbrain into the arches during 4th week. And if you remember the skeletal derivatives of arches, particularly the first arch, that is called as the mandibular arch. And this mandibular arch is having two prominences or two processes. One is maxillary process, one is mandibular process. So maximum facial skeleton is formed by these two processes. Okay. In addition, a third process is also there, that is called as frontonasal process. Okay. So total primordia, the components for the face development are 5 in number. Frontonasal process, which is unpaired, maxillary processes and mandibular processes, which are coming from the first arch, that is mandibular arch. They are paired. So two maxillary process, two mandibular process, and a single frontonasal process. So total 5 primordia are there, and all these processes, they fuse together at different sites to form the total face. Okay. Now, before starting, you should remember this part in the middle is called as the stomatodium. And what are the boundaries of stomatodium? Cranially, it is a developing forebrain, and caudally, it is the pericardial bulge. Between two bulges, there is a buccopharyngeal membrane, and this buccopharyngeal membrane ruptures to form the oral cavity, isn't it? So, what are the boundaries? During 6th week, the stomatodium is separated from the foregut by the buccopharyngeal membrane. It ruptures, and it is related to cranially by the bulging of the forebrain. On lateral aspect, it is bounded by the first arch. So if you remember, on lateral aspect of the stomatodium, you get the pharyngeal apparatus in the lateral wall, isn't it? So this pharyngeal apparatus has got different arches. So first arch is related on the lateral aspect of stomatodium. So in the figure, this green part is developing forebrain bulge. On the lateral side, this pink arch is the first arch. This first arch is later on giving us two processes. And this is below, you get the pericardial bulge. On the lateral aspect, there are different arches which develop here, and because of that, the pericardial bulge is shifted downwards to its normal position, isn't it? So relations of stomatodium, forebrain on the cranial aspect, caudally it is pericardial bulge, and on lateral aspect you get the first arch, particularly around stomatodium. And this arch is having two processes, maxillary process and mandibular process, isn't it? Now, this is the figure showing two processes. This is the maxillary process, blue color, and pink color is the mandibular process. Okay. This maxillary process, it arises as a bud from the dorsal end and it presents on the lateral aspect of the stomatodium. And mandibular process, it develops little caudally to the maxillary process. Okay, and it grows on the ventral aspect. Okay, so these pink structures, they are the mandibular process and they will grow ventrally and they will fuse with each other to form the lower lip and lower jaw. Okay, so we'll see all these processes, the frontonasal process, maxillary process and mandibular process one by one. What is this frontonasal process? This is the forebrain vesicle in the figure, and around that whatever green part is there, that is the mesenchyme. Okay, so during 5th week, the mesenchyme covering the developing forebrain, it proliferates along with the overlying ectoderm and it forms a downward projection which covers the stomatodium partly. Okay, so in this figure you can appreciate this is the developing forebrain and this green color is the mesenchyme and around that there is a surrounding ectoderm. Now this mesenchyme proliferates downwards. It comes downward. In the second figure you can appreciate, and this is called as a frontonasal process, which is covering partly the stomatodium. Okay, this is the lateral view, and if you see, this becomes the frontal view. So green color, this is frontonasal process. On lateral aspect, you get the mandibular arch with two processes, that is maxillary process and mandibular process, and below is the stomatodium. Now here you can appreciate the mandibular process has already been fused. Okay, and in total face, the lower lip and lower jaw, these are the first things to be formed. This is because it is very simple, just to ventral growth and the fusion of the mandibular process, and that is why it is formed first. Now, what are the steps? What happens to this frontonasal process? Because in face, we want the formation of the nose, we want the formation of the external ears. We are seeing face, that's why we are not going in detail of the eye, but only the external appearance and its position, external appearance of the ear and its position. Okay, so in the frontonasal process, two ectodermal elevation, these round structures, these are the ectodermal elevations, they appear on each side of the frontonasal process, away from the midline. Okay, now these are called as a nasal placodes. Placodes means they are swelling, they are elevated structures. They appear in the frontonasal process. So this is the process of the nose formation has started first by the nasal placode formation. Now what happens? The central part in the lower figure, you can appreciate the central part of this nasal placode depressed down and surrounding mesenchyme gets elevated. Okay, so the depression, that part is called as a nasal pit. So nasal placodes are formed. Now nasal pits are formed, and this nasal pit is surrounded on medial and lateral side by these two processes. They are called as the medial nasal process and lateral nasal process. Okay, so the surface of the nasal placodes get depressed due to the overgrowth of the surrounding mesenchyme and it forms the nasal pit. Okay, and these pits, they have open communication with the stomatodium. This is open with the stomatodium. Now to form the nose, what we want, there should be the separation of the nasal cavity from the oral cavity, and these two nares, they should come close to each other, then only the nose will be formed. No, so the requirement for the nose formation is, at present it is communicated with the stomatodium, we want the separation, and at present these nasal pits, they are nothing but the external nares. So these two external nares, they should come close to each other. Now how this happens? Before that, when the nasal pit is there, on the lateral aspect of the nasal pit, that is laterally and caudally, cranially, the lens placode develops. So at this corner, you can appreciate this is the lens placode. So lens placode appears. यहाँ पर this is the frontonasal process. So it is lateral and ventral to the frontonasal process, and it is lateral and cranial to the lens nose placode. Okay. So one is the nose placode or nasal placode, and second is the lens placode. What happens next? Formation of the medial and lateral nasal process. We have already seen the edges of each pit are raised above the surface, forming the medial and lateral nasal processes, isn't it? So in the figure, you can appreciate this brown color is the lateral nasal process, and this green dotted part is the medial nasal process. The blue color in between is the nasal pit. Below it is communicated with the stomatodium. This blue color is the stomatodium. So the nasal pits are communicated with the stomatodium, and nasal pits are bounded on medial side by the medial nasal process, on the lateral side by lateral nasal process. In the figure, this sky blue color is maxillary process and pink color is the mandibular process. Now what happens? The lateral nasal process forms ala of the nose. Ala is whatever lobule you see where you pierce it for the nose ring. So that is ala. The lateral nasal process forms the ala. Medial nasal processes, they merge with each other. They come close to each other and they merge with each other. And when these medial nasal processes merge with each other, they form the intermaxillary segment. So this intermaxillary segment is formed by the fusion of medial nasal processes. Okay, and it has got different components and it forms different structures. We'll see just in few minutes. The merging, this merging, when we see the medial nasal process is merged with the opposite medial process, this merging is not only on the surface, but it goes in the deep part also. So deeper level also the fusion occurs, and this merging occurs. Why? Because these medial nasal processes, they might be coming close together. How they come close together? Because of the development of the maxilla. Maxilla grows, it first fuses with the lateral nasal process. So maxilla is growing there, and so we know that common sense say above the stomatodium or the oral cavity, you will be getting upper lip and upper jaw. So remember, when the maxilla grows, it will be forming the upper lip. Lateral nasal process does not take part in the formation of the upper lip. You can appreciate in the figure, it is just forming the ala of nose. Now, medial nasal processes, they come close together and they fuse to form the intermaxillary segment. Okay. Why merging occurs? Because of the medial growth of maxillary process. Now, what is this intermaxillary segment? As I have already told you, this occurs because of the fusion of the medial nasal processes. Okay. Now, it has got three components. What structures it will form? The labial part, it is fusing in the middle of the face. So, middle structures of the face, like upper lip is having the philtrum. So, labial component means it forms philtrum of the upper lip, that is middle part of the upper lip where you get some depression, that is called as philtrum. Then in the same way as it is fusing in the depth also, so upper jaw component is there, it forms the part of the jaw which is having incisors. Okay, 4 incisors are there, no? So it is forming that premaxillary part. And third one is the palatal component. It is nothing but the primary or the primitive palate, the initial palate which is separating the nasal cavity from oral cavity. So these are the 3 components: the lip component, upper jaw component, and palate component. Okay, so it is very clear that intermaxillary segment, it forms the philtrum of the upper lip, it forms the part of upper jaw which is having 4 incisor tips, and it forms the temporary or the primitive palate. Rostrally, this intermaxillary segment is continuous with the nasal septum, which is formed by the frontal prominence. These medial nasal processes, they come close together, and in between, the frontonasal process is there. So rostrally, this intermaxillary segment continues with the nasal septum formed by the frontal prominence. So that is about the intermaxillary segments. Now, what are the steps? Before that, of course, the maxillary process, which is present on lateral aspect of the stomatodium, and it is a part of the mandibular arch. So simultaneously, when the frontonasal process is differentiating, the mandibular arch also differentiates into the maxillary process and mandibular process. Mandibular process, it develops caudal to the maxillary process, and it is present on each side caudally to the maxillary process, and it fuses to form the lower lip and the lower jaw, which is the first structure to be formed in the face. Okay. So, steps in the formation of the different parts of the face. In face, we are having the upper lip, lower lip, oral cavity. It should be limited, no? So oral cavity or oral fissure, which includes the lateral angle of the mouth. Then cheeks are formed. Then we want the exact location, formation of the ear and its adult position, formation of the eye and its adult position, and of course forehead. So what are the different steps for the formation of different parts of the face? Each maxillary process grows ventromedially and below the developing eye, and it fuses with the lateral nasal process that we have seen. Initially, the maxillary process will grow, it will fuse with the lateral nasal process. So lateral nasal process is shifted above and it is not taking part in the formation of the upper lip and upper jaw. So it grows ventromedially. Initially, both these processes, they are separated by the deep furrow called as a nasolacrimal duct or the naso-optic groove on the lateral aspect, and it extends from the stomatodium to the medial angle of the eye. From stomatodium lateral angle up to the medial end of the eye, the fusion does not occur. It fuses with the low level, but it does not fuse with the lateral side of the nose, remember, and that is nothing but the nasolacrimal groove. What happens in this groove? The ectoderm is buried in that groove, and that is a solid epithelial cord is formed. Later on, this solid epithelial cord will canalize to form the nasolacrimal duct. The upper part of this duct gets dilated to form the lacrimal sac. Okay. So when the maxillary process fuses with the lateral nasal process, the fusion is deficient in the area on the lateral aspect of the nose, that is extending from the lateral part of the stomatodium up to the medial angle of eye. So this fusion is deficient, and in this groove you get the buried ectoderm. This ectoderm forms the solid epithelial cord initially, then it becomes canalized to form the nasolacrimal duct. This duct has got the widened upper part, and that forms the nasolacrimal sac. You have already studied about the lacrimal gland and lacrimal sac, lacrimal apparatus. Okay, so formation of the nasolacrimal duct and lacrimal sac has already done now. Now failure of this canalization will lead to the atresia, as seen in every tubular structure. If it fails to dilate or if it fails to canalize, it will lead to the atresia. So what are the steps up till now? Just the maxillary process is fusing with the lateral nasal process. Initially, there is a groove between on the lateral aspect of the nose. from extending from the lateral angle of the stomatodium up to the medial angle of the nose. And later on, there is solid cord formation which gets canalized to form the nasolacrimal duct. So up till now, maxillary process has just fused with the lateral nasal process, isn't it? Now, what happens? The maxillary process again grows medially below the nasal pit, and it pushes the medial nasal processes more medially, because we want the fusion of the medial nasal process to form the intermaxillary segment. Okay. So intermaxillary process or intermaxillary segment is formed because of the merging of medial nasal processes with each other. How they merge? Because of the growth of maxillary process towards each other. So medial nasal processes, they are also coming close to each other. So maxillary process has fused with the lateral nasal process, and then it fuses with the medial nasal process also. Okay. So up till now, the nasal maxillary process has fused with the lateral nasal process, medial nasal process also, and because of the growth, the medial nasal processes, they have come close together and they form the intermaxillary segment also. Now, these nasal processes, they fuse with each other also, because up till now, remember, the nasal pits are communicating with the stomatodium. We want the partition between the nasal cavity and the oral cavity. So when these nasal processes, the medial nasal process fuse with the lateral nasal process, then the gap will be filled. So the nasal processes, they fuse with each other, and the nasal pits are separated from the stomatodium. Okay. So external nails, still they are little apart from each other. They should come close to each other. They come close to each other by growth of the maxillary process, more growth, and at the same time in the figure you can appreciate narrowing of the frontonasal process also occurs. So because of the two factors, the growth of maxilla and the narrowing of the frontonasal process, the two nares, they come close to each other. Okay. So in the figure you can appreciate this blue color is the maxillary process. It fuses with the lateral nasal process, then it fuses with the medial nasal process, and these medial and the lateral nasal processes, they also fuse with each other. Thus the nasal cavity is separated from the oral cavity. So this is in short the summary of face development. So this is the frontonasal process. Here the lens placodes, that is proliferation of the ectoderm, occurs on the lateral aspect of frontonasal aspect on both the sides. Okay. Now this red color is maxillary process, and this peach color is mandibular process. In between, this black line is nothing but the stomatodium. Now nasal pits, they appear in the nasal placodes, and we get the raised borders of this nasal pit. The blue color is called as the lateral nasal process, and the yellow color is medial nasal process. Just on lateral aspect of these nasal placodes, you get the lens placodes. See the position of the eye. Initially it is here. Now because of the growth of this maxilla and nails, they shift towards each other, and the growth of maxilla, they shift to the anterior aspect. Now when this maxillary process fuses with the lateral nasal process, here you can appreciate this line, and this is nothing but the nasolacrimal groove. You can see here, this is the nasolacrimal groove which extends from the lateral angle of the stomatodium up to the medial angle of the eye. So this line is nothing but the nasolacrimal groove. What happens? The nasolacrimal duct develops here. Okay. So here you can appreciate these are the lens placodes, nasal pit formation is there, and in this figure you can clear cut see that nasal pits, they are communicating with the stomatodium. Okay, so up till now they are not separated. Now the maxillary process in the lower figure, you can appreciate this maxillary process fuses with the blue colored lateral nasal process. Now remember and see the figure, you can appreciate that upper jaw formation. In upper jaw formation, the blue color, that is lateral nasal process, do not contribute. Okay, it does not contribute, and it fuses. Now maxillary process fuses with the lateral nasal process. Maxillary process also fuses with the medial nasal process, and both these two parts, lateral nasal process and medial nasal process, they fuse with each other also. In the last figure you can appreciate there. This is the lateral nasal process forming ala of nose. Medial nasal process, they fuse with each other forming the intermaxillary segment. The nares, both the nares, they come close together by the growth of the maxilla and by narrowing of the frontonasal process. The nasal cavity is separated from the stomatodium by fusion of this medial and the lateral process. Okay. Now here the eyes are here, and now because of the growth of this maxillary process, the eye is shifted to its normal position. This yellow color in the fourth figure is the intermaxillary segment. It forms the lip component, that is philtrum. It forms the jaw component, that is the part of the maxilla or jaw, upper jaw, which is having 4 incisors. Remember the important point, though the upper jaw and the incisor part of upper jaw is formed by intermaxillary segment, the skin over this part is formed by the ectoderm of the maxillary process only. This is important for the nerve supply. So skin over the upper lip is totally formed by the ectoderm of the maxillary process only. Okay. So though the lower part, deeper part of the upper lip and upper jaw, they are formed by the intermaxillary segment, the skin of the upper lip is formed by maxillary process ectoderm only. Okay. So that is important for the nerve supply. So fusion of the maxillary and mandibular process also appears. Now in the figure you can appreciate the lower lip is already formed, lower lip and lower jaw, by the mandibular process. Now these two processes, the red one is the maxillary process and this one below that is the mandibular process. They also fuse with each other. So this fusion, where it starts, that will be forming the lateral angle of the mouth, isn't it? And these fusion of these two processes extends on the lateral side also. So that will form the cheek part, cheek of the face. Okay. So stomatodium, whatever unfused part is there, the maxillary and the mandibular process also fuse with each other. Whatever unfused part remains, that will be the oral cavity. So fusion of the maxillary and the mandibular process forms lateral angle of mouth. Their fusion continues laterally to form cheeks. All the muscles of the face, they are derived from, if you remember, they are derived from the mesoderm of the second branchial arch. If you remember, all the muscles of the face, they are derived from the mesoderm of the second arch. And the nerve of the second arch is facial nerve. So all the muscles of the face, they are supplied by the facial nerve. Why? Because they are developing from the second arch, and the nerve of the second arch is facial nerve. Now, what is the nerve supply? It is very easy to remember. Motor nerve supply, that means muscles of the face, they are supplied by the facial nerve. It is very easy to remember, face muscles, facial nerve. Derivatives of the frontonasal process, that means frontonasal process which is reduced now to form the intermaxillary segment, and all those parts, they are supplied by the ophthalmic nerve. So derivatives of the frontonasal process, including the forehead, so they are supplied by the ophthalmic nerve. Okay. derivatives of the maxillary process, whatever part of the face is derived from the maxillary process, that will be supplied by maxillary nerve. Derivatives of the mandibular process, they are supplied by mandibular nerve. So lower lip, lower jaw, they are supplied by the mandibular nerve. And upper jaw and upper lip is supplied by the maxillary nerve, except the upper jaw incisors. But skin is supplied by maxillary nerve only. The derivatives of the frontonasal process, the frontonasal process forming the forehead, it is forming the upper part of the nasal cavity also. So they are supplied because the fusion of medial nasal process, they fuse above with the frontonasal process, isn't it? So they are supplied by the ophthalmic nerve. That is about the nerve supply of the face. Now, different structures we have seen and how they are formed. It is just a quick summary of all that. See the structure and the process which is forming that structure. Forehead is formed by the frontonasal process. This is very easy. Lower lip and the lower jaw, they are first to form. They are formed by the mandibular process. So mandibular process, they grow medially, they fuse with each other and they form the lower lip and lower jaw. Now the important is upper lip. Upper lip, the lateral part is formed by the maxillary process. And the middle part is formed, the upper lip, I am telling, the intermaxillary segment, upper lip. But the skin over that is formed by maxillary process only. Upper jaw, now here you can appreciate upper jaw is formed by the maxillary process. Lateral nasal processes do not contribute into the upper jaw formation, and ectoderm of the maxillary process overgrows and covers the philtrum also. So philtrum, उसके अंदर का जो tissue है, the mesoderm is forming philtrum, but skin over philtrum is formed by the maxillary process only. The ectoderm of the maxillary process overgrows and that covers the philtrum also. Now in the figure you can appreciate this blue color is the maxilla. This yellow color is the philtrum formed of the upper lip, philtrum. Now this blue line is extending over philtrum also. This you can appreciate in the figure. Okay. So skin of the upper lip and the upper jaw is formed by the maxilla only, but the inner part of the philtrum and upper jaw, they are formed by the intermaxillary segment. So skin of the upper lip is derived by the maxillary process and it is supplied by the maxillary nerve. So if somebody has undergone the dental treatment, you might be knowing that lower lip is developing, lower lip and lower jaw is developing from mandibular process, whole of it from the mandibular process. So if you want to go undergo the dental treatment, just one injection of for blocking the mandibular nerve is sufficient. But if you want to undergo the treatment or RC, that is root canal treatment of upper jaw, now depending on the development, the different nerves, they supply different tooth. And that is why more injections are required to block different nerves. Now the lips are formed, jaw is also formed, but lips should be separated from the jaw. So this is a note given. The lips are separated from alveolar processes by development of ectodermal alveolo-labial groove. Alveolo is jaw, labial is lip. In between the lip and the jaw, a groove develops and that separates the upper lip from jaw and lower lip from the jaw. So lip and jaw, how they are separated? By alveolo-labial groove. Clear hai? Now we have seen the upper lip, upper jaw, lower jaw, forehead. Now what are the other structures? So oral fissure, how oral fissure is formed? Now, as we know, the stomatodium is bounded on the maxillary process, and frontonasal process is here. So, from upper side, stomatodium is bounded by the maxillary and frontonasal process, and mandibular process from the lower side. Okay. Now, fusion of the maxillary and the mandibular process starts from lateral side of the stomatodium, and the unfused part forms the oral fissure. So that is very clear. And cheeks, this fusion extends on the lateral aspect to form the cheeks. So lateral angle of the mouth and cheeks, they are formed by the fusion of maxillary and mandibular process. Now here in the figure you can appreciate this black color is the stomatodium. This is the opening. Now this process is the maxillary process, and the lower down this is the mandibular process. Now say for example the fusion starts here. So it will fuse and it will extend laterally. From this side also the fusion starts here and the fusion extends on the lateral aspect. So whatever unfused part is there in the middle, that will form the oral cavity. From where the fusion starts, that will form the lateral angle of the mouth, and the lateral fusion will form the cheeks. Okay. So in this figure, it is very clear again. These are cheeks. This is lateral angle of the mouth, and the remaining unfused part is stomatodium. So in short, again the summary is there. We'll see the process wise. Now up till now we have seen which part is formed by which process. Now is a quick review which process forms which part. Okay. So first is frontonasal process, unpaired process. What it forms? See the part of chart here. It forms forehead, it forms external nose because nasal placodes they appear in the frontonasal process only. They form the nasal cavity from the nasal pit. They form the nasal septum because medial nasal processes they fuse with each other, and they form the philtrum of the upper lip because they are also developing from the intermaxillary segment. So frontonasal process is giving us forehead, external part of the nose, nasal cavities, and the components of intermaxillary segment, that is nasal septum and philtrum of the upper lip. Okay, and that is why all of them they are supplied by the ophthalmic division except the skin of philtrum, which is innervated by maxillary nerve. Second process, the maxillary process. Maxillary process, what it is giving us? It is giving the lateral part of the upper lips and upper part of the cheeks. Lateral part of the upper lip and upper jaw, both. And upper part of the cheeks also, they are formed by the maxillary process. And that is why those parts are supplied by the maxillary nerve. Third is mandibular process. It parts they are supplied by the mandibular nerve. So it is very clear that total face is up till now developed by three processes. One is the frontonasal process, which is unpaired, maxillary process, which are paired one, and mandibular process, which are again paired one. So total 5 components are there. Maxillary and the mandibular processes, they are the processes of the mandibular arch, that is first arch. Whatever derivatives of each process is there, they are supplied by different nerves. And easy to remember, mandibular process derivatives supplied by mandibular nerve, maxillary process derivatives supplied by maxillary nerve, and frontonasal process derivatives they are supplied by ophthalmic nerve. All these ophthalmic, maxillary, mandibular, these are the branches or 3 divisions of the trigeminal nerve. So total face sensations they are carried by trigeminal nerve. Now the two parts which are remaining is the development of the external ear and development of the eye and how they go to their adult position. So development of ear, if you remember, they are developing around dorsal part of the first cleft. Cleft is outer one. Okay. Around that, the series of the mesodermal thickening or the hillocks, they appear on first and the second arch, which is first arch and the second arch. In between gap is there, that is called as the first cleft. So from this cleft, you get the external ear opening or external auditory meatus. Meatus is there, but how the pinna is formed? The pinna is formed by the mesodermal thickening of the adjacent arches. That means first and the second arch. So mesoderm of these arches grow. They show the swelling. They are called as the hillocks, and pinna is formed by the fusion of these hillocks. Now, if you appreciate, the position is very low. Maxillary and the mandibular process जहाँ है वहीं पे first arch है. Now you can appreciate the position of the ear is very low. So it is lying, initially this pinna lies caudal to the developing jaw, but it is pushed upward and the backward to its definitive position because of the enlargement of the mandibular process. Okay, so mandibular process enlarges and the ear is shifted to its normal adult position. So you can imagine if the mandibular process does not grow, that means mandibular process is coming from first arch. So if there is first arch syndrome, you will get small mandible, and because mandible is not growing, the ears, they will not be shifted to their adult position. Yes, and that will give us the low set ears, isn't it? So in the first arch syndrome, you get low set ears. Why? Because the mandible is very small, mandible is not growing, and because of that, the ears, they are not shifted to their normal adult position and they remain lower only. So low set ears is a common feature in the first arch syndrome. So here you can appreciate this is a normal position. Then because of the growth of the mandibular process, the ear is shifted to its normal position. Okay. So low set ears can be seen in the first arch syndrome because small mandible is there. So mandible fails to push the ears to their normal definitive position. So that is external ear. Now how the eye develops. External location only we are dealing with. The details of the eye we will see in the subsequent lectures. So development of eye, we have already seen the lens placode. Okay. An ectodermal thickening called as the lens placode appears on the ventrolateral side, ventral and lateral side of the developing forebrain, or you can say it is developing lateral and cranial to the nasal placodes. So the location is in relation to the forebrain, it is ventral and lateral. In relation to the nasal placodes, it develops cranial and lateral. Okay. The lens placodes, they sink below. They sink below and they cut off from the surface ectoderm. It grows downward. So orbit formation is going on. And then a bulge, the developing eyeball produces a bulging in this situation, and it is directed laterally and lie in the angle between the maxillary process and lateral nasal process. So between the maxillary process and the lateral nasal process, the eye is located. Now it should again go to its normal position. Why? How it occurs? The narrowing of the frontonasal process gives us the normal position of the eye. So because of the narrowing of the frontonasal process, the eyes, they are shifted to their normal location. The eyelids, how the eyelids are developed? Because of the folds of the ectoderm. And in between this ectoderm, the mesoderm will be enclosed in it. So the ectodermal folds with innervening mesoderm forms the eyelids. So this is just the external appearance because we want to complete the development of the face. We have seen the upper jaw, upper lip, lower jaw, lower lip, cheeks, oral cavity, external nares, how they come close to each other, forehead development, ear formation or external ear formation and it's shifting to the adult side, and eye development, external appearance only, and it's shifting to normal position. So this is just a summary, quick summary of this. The model is also there. This is the nasal, this is the lens placode, this is the nasal pit, this one is the maxillary process, and this is the mandibular process. Now, maxillary process first, we can, in short, we can tell the steps. This is the frontonasal process. Lens placodes appear, sorry, this is a nasal placodes appear, nasal pit formation is there, lateral to that the lens placode appears, and on the lateral aspect of the stomatodium you get the maxillary process, and lower down caudal to it is the mandibular process. What are the steps? This maxillary process grows and it fuses with the lateral nasal process, then it fuses, it grows again, because of that the medial nasal process, they come close to each other, they form the intermaxillary segment. The growth of the maxillary process still continues, it fuses with the medial nasal process also, and thus the stomatodium is separated from the nasal cavities. So external nares, they come close together because two reasons are there. One is growth of the maxillary process, and second is narrowing of this frontonasal process. Okay, so external nares, they come close together. Lens placode is there, which is shifted upward because of the frontonasal process becomes narrow. So as this becomes narrow, the eyes will be shifted to the front side. Ears, they are formed and they are shifted to the normal position by growth of the mandibular process. So growth of mandibular process, ears they shift. Narrowing of the frontonasal process, eyes they shift. And how the external nose is formed? By the fusion of lateral nasal process, medial nasal process with each other, and this separates the nasal cavity from the stomatodium. How the nares, they come close together? They come close together because of the growth of maxilla. Okay, so her spatial sensation के लिए you have, so narrowing of frontonasal process, eyes come to their normal location. Growth of mandibular process, ears come to their normal position, and growth of maxillary process, nose or